Okay, in theory, it should have started, and we can go ahead and get started with the lecture. Okay, so my goal is to get you the basics. Today, we're going to talk about command line. We're going to get you a Linux VM, everybody a Linux VM with MySQL on it. Okay, for this purpose of the textbook, we're going to use an easy one in GCP that's already ready to go, and all we have to do is start creating databases. Okay. For your project, you're going to have to actually go and install it and all those things. And I'm starting to firm up those instructions for you. And over the next couple of weeks, I'll have those instructions ready for you to do. Okay. But for today and the purpose of using it for the in-class assignments and working together on things, we're going to go ahead and use a MariaDB image from Bitnami, which is already in the marketplace. It's free. And you just go out, you select it, you say deploy, it deploys it within 10 minutes. Well, with everybody else in this room using the Wi-Fi, it might take a little longer. But then we'll have an environment that we can all connect to. It'll be the exact same way for all of us. When you go do your own implementation for the project, you can do it however you want. You can use AWS, you can use GCP, I don't care. But for the in-class stuff, it's going to be a lot easier to just use the same thing, okay? All right, so the first thing we do is we go to the console for Google Cloud, okay? So it's going to be the same thing you would do for, console, man, I don't think I typed that correctly. Console.cloud.google.com and then education, okay? This is where you should have redeemed your grants, okay? It's gonna look like this screen. So those of you, the few of you who didn't do it yet, okay, go here. Now the key thing is you have to redeem these. When you actually enter the codes, you have to be logged in as your own personal email or create a personal Gmail, okay, for this purpose. You can't use your CSU email. I wish you could. It'd make my life easier, it'd make your lives easier. I've been pushing for 2 years. It still isn't going to happen anytime soon. Yes. You can use the same account. You're just going to log in with that same account, and then you're just going to add the coupon code, and it will associate with this class. So you can use either one, but when you go in, this will be associated with a billing account for this class because that's the code that you got is for this class. Yeah. But if you've got credit from before, you're welcome to use it. The only problem is when you run out, it's going to start adding it to your MIS411 account, which means if you've got a project, you're going to have to move that project to the other billing account. You don't have to change anything. It's the billing account associated with it, you have to reset it once you run out of credit to this class. Yeah. You just log into your Google account. You go here, you put in the coupon code, you say redeem, and it's going to redeem it to a new project or new billing account automatically. You don't get to choose the name of the billing account. It's set to MIS411 or something like that, okay? So I'll show you that in a second because I've already redeemed my account codes. But you're going to put them in here. You're going to redeem them, okay? You want to make sure you're logged in as your personal account, not your, actually, I don't have a school account in here because I don't have it, okay? Faculty don't have Google accounts here. We have Office. Believe me, I don't like Office. Yes. That's on Cougar Courses. There's a link to request it. Here's the thing. If you're setting this up, how many of you, again, how many of you need to set it up still? It's just a few of you, right? Okay. First thing you do is you're going to go to that, use your school email you're just going to ask for your school email and your name. You put that in. Then you're going to email to confirm that you requested a code in your school email. You're going to click on that to request the code, basically. And then you're going to get a second email with the code. You're not going to click on the link on that because it'll try to open in your school email. Open a private browser, go to console.cloud.google.com/education. Make sure you're logged into your personal account at that point, and then paste the code in there and redeem it. You can see that which account you're logged into up there in the top right. Okay. Did you already redeem it? Oh, you gotta. Well, let me get out of this then. Okay, so I just go now. Once I've got my credit, I just go to. Yeah, because you didn't use it then. Yeah. You're going to get 50 credit now for this class. If you deplete it, I'll request 50 more for you. No. You can use it to learn in your other classes, okay? Until it expires. I think it lasts a year from when you got it. So probably this fall. Yeah. So if you go here to billing, okay? By the way, nobody entered a credit card, right? Because why did I say no credit cards? So if I go to billing, okay, and I say manage billing accounts, okay, where's it at? You'll see a billing account for different things as you create things, okay? I don't have any resources for this account yet, but you can see that I have several projects I set up for my other classes already, okay? The billing account should be named like MIS411, but we'll get there in a second. Now, those of you who are still setting up your Google accounts, it's okay. I'm gonna move on, but I'll help you out, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is when we get into the console here, which if you've got your coupon code, you should already be logged in. You're gonna go to Marketplace on the left there, okay? Marketplace on the left, yes. Okay. Not for this class, but you can do that with that other account that you're not using if you want. Okay. MariaDB, Bitnami. Okay, that's what you want to search for. Bitnami. Okay. And you just want, for the sake of this class, the top one there. MariaDB certified by Bitnami. Okay. And you just click on it. It's going to use your credit. Well, I'm going to show you. You might be a little ahead of me. Yeah, wait a second. Okay. You want to launch on Compute Engine. Okay. That's estimated cost based on a certain size. Yeah. So, okay. And then the next thing it's going to do is what project do you want to use? Okay. Now, if you don't have a project, it's going to request that you set one up. So you can just do create project here. And I can say MIS411. That's fine. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Can I change the name?
It cannot be changed later. So no. But it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Okay. I've got one that says my project ID, whatever. I'm just for the sake of, if you haven't done it yet, here you go. Okay. Then you select the billing account. Okay. It should be MIS411. Should have automatically set it to that when you redeem your code. Okay. If you're, by the way, if you're taking the 304 class as well, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to redeem that code for that class. So you'll actually have a 411 billing and a 304. Actually, it'll be called 302 because I had already set it up as 302 and didn't change it. Okay. So you're going to change the project name. If you didn't, it's okay. It's not going to matter. It really doesn't matter. Okay. And then the billing account 411. You do not need to add a credit card. If you do this, then it won't ask you for a credit card. Okay. Yes. The billing account is the credit, the coupon code that you have. That's what it's affiliated with. What's
It says my first project, and I clicked on that to help, and it's configuring it right now for this.
Yeah.
So it should take it out of the correct account,
You didn't put a credit card, right? Yeah, then that's the only thing I can do. Yeah. The question back here.
Yeah, well, it's just going to show that's what it showed up.
Yeah, so that's good. Yeah.
Just create account, right?
Yep, just create. Yep. I went to, on the upper left, the 3 bars, Marketplace, and I searched for MariaDB Bitnami. Maria. Yeah. Maria DB. So that was my bad attempt at a song. All right, anybody else need help? Yes. It doesn't matter because it's basically your, as long as it's not your CSU SM, it's your some personal account, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Yes.
Put my credit card in. Would I do it over again? Or?
Did you enter the code? Are you logged in as your school account? No, okay. You know you don't need to be. What I meant was you shouldn't be in your school account. So go ahead and close that, and make sure you're in the other one. Yeah. Now you should be able to put the code in that you got in your email. If you didn't redeem it already, did you redeem it yet? Okay. Yeah. So that's where you put it there. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Yeah. Wait for me, please. Okay. That's okay for right now. Okay. So go ahead and do it. Mine might be a little different because did you redeem the code already? Okay, so it should be fine. Just make sure you're logged in your personal account right there. Just click on it. Okay, you're good. So go ahead and click create. Okay. And you're in your personal email then? So you're just going to put the code in that you have in the email, click redeem, and you should be good. And then you'll do this step. Yes. Wait, just for a second. I'll get to that in a second. So if you're already on the MariaDB certified by Bitnami deployment screen, pause, wait for me, and I'll get to it in just a second. I'll make sure everybody gets there. Okay. And then go to the little 3 bars on the left-hand upper side, Marketplace, search for MariaDB, Bitnami, and we'll be good to go in a second. Anybody else have an issue? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click Create so you can see what I'm talking about here. Was that a question over there, Michelle? I saw your hand. You don't have a question. Okay. Yes. It's in Cougar Courses. But did you request it? Like you have to go through a process. You have to request it through. So Cougar Courses, you go out, there's a link. You click on it. You put in your school email, your name. Then it sends you an email. You click on it to confirm, and then you'll get a coupon code after that. And then you go into this and do it. Okay. Oops. I must have already used this a year ago. Okay. So I'm going to do a different one for mine. What's that? Not yet, because I want to make sure everybody gets the same configuration. Oops. Okay. All right. Was there a question over here? I thought I saw my eye. No? Okay. So I should now have a project that's created. Okay. Okay. I'm in my project. Now I can go here. Mine aired out, so I have to go back to the marketplace. Okay. If yours didn't, you're good. Just wait for me. We just go back up here. We go to marketplace and we search for Bitnami MariaDB again. Okay. Okay. Now, once this pops up here, let me turn off that notification thing on the right there. It's annoying. Yeah, with everybody on this Wi-Fi, this poor little Wi-Fi router in here, wherever it's at back there, is probably struggling. Okay. The good news, once we get this display on our screen, all the back office stuff, all the heavy lifting is going to happen in Google, and it won't impact any of us. Okay. So once we get past this initial screen. Is anybody still having trouble redeeming their codes? Nobody? Yes? You can call it MIS411 and then choose the billing account for 411. Yeah, because you're in my 304 too, right? Yeah, so you'll have 2 accounts. Yeah. Okay. All right, so you're just stay on that screen for a second, wait for mine to come up, and I'll tell you what settings for everybody to get. Yeah.
So I already got the code and I redeemed this, so I'm all good to go.
So you're good. So go to the 3 bars on the left and go to Marketplace and search for MariaDB Bitnami and go ahead and get to that point where we're at. Just search for it. MariaDB space Bitnami. Yep, that first one there is good. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about, while we're waiting for this, I want to actually talk about some things I was going to talk about anyways. It seems like a good time, okay? When this comes up, I will walk you all through, so you should all be in the screen here in a few minutes, hopefully. Okay. So let's talk about MariaDB and MySQL, okay, and the different databases. So how many of you have heard of Oracle? Okay. How many of you have heard of Microsoft SQL Server? How many of you have heard of IBM DB2? Very few people. Okay. Just two of us in the room that know that one. Okay. Or maybe you've heard me mention. Okay. And then there's PostgreSQL. Who's heard of that? Okay. MySQL, MariaDB. All of you raise your hands. I just talked about. Okay. MariaDB is a fork of MySQL. So what happened was MySQL was an independent database, and then Sun Microsystems bought MySQL. And Oracle's had their database for, I don't know, 40 years or so. Okay. Well, Sun, after the first dot-com crash, kind of went through some hard times and was purchased by Oracle, which meant that Oracle now owns MySQL. Okay. Well, MySQL was an open source product that competed with Oracle. Okay. So MySQL is still a product that Oracle supports, but at the end of the day, they probably want you to buy their more expensive Oracle database. So the people who originally wrote MySQL forked it because it's open source. They're allowed to do that. So they forked it and built a new MySQL, which is called MariaDB because they can't use the MySQL name. It's compatible with MySQL. It has additional features. MySQL, since that point, has added additional features as well. Okay. So if you want support, you now have two choices of how you get your database supported. Number one is you get the Oracle MySQL, if you're assuming you're going the MySQL route, or the other option is you go with MariaDB, and MariaDB provides commercial support for MariaDB as well. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm using MariaDB is I don't have to worry about any of you having Oracle down your throats for some reason. Okay. That's really the main reason. Well, I will not comment on Oracle other than to say I don't want to deal with anybody having problems with Oracle and their licensing. Okay. So I don't want there to be an issue. So MariaDB is kind of a safe solution because it is an open source product. Okay. Now, this is telling you the cost. Okay. When you see this cost, this is the cost per month estimated based on it running for 730 hours, which I presume is, I don't know this because I don't know how many hours are in a month, but I presume that's how many hours are in a month. Okay, would be my assumption. Okay. Yes. Mine, because I had this class last year, it said there was a naming conflict, so I had to rename it something else, and that was what I came up with very quickly on the fly. Okay, to get rid of the error. Now, we're going to use MariaDB, and the reason why we're going to use it, I've told you, but we're not going to use we call it Access because it's a dead product. Nobody really uses it anymore, okay, except in education for some reason. But we're changing that, okay. I could have put you on Oracle, but I don't have an Oracle server. I don't have an Oracle license. That would have been very costly for me to do. So that's another option. That's what Dr. Sun uses in his classes, is because he has his own Oracle server somewhere. I don't know where, but he's got his own Oracle server. I decided to do this because you can all set up your own at no cost. Okay, and I think that learning to set it up is just as important as learning the SQL aspect. Okay, I'm recording this, so are you trying to record it or something? Okay, I'm recording it, and that's where I want it to be. I don't want it on the internet other than where it's on YouTube, please. Okay. If you've got an accommodation, then just talk to me privately about it, and we'll get that squared away. So I'm using MariaDB for this purpose so we can use it for this course, okay? Now, I want you to all set up your own instance and play with it because that's the best way to learn. How many of you learn by actually doing something? Most of you, right? So if I just talked about it and had slides, you really wouldn't learn. And so in 304, that's what we do. I show you some slides and you can go take a look at those, and they show you some SQL commands. Whoop-dee, right? You don't actually, maybe you learn a little bit to prepare you for this class, but you aren't actually going to learn how to do things in real life. And so that's also why I'm not using a regular textbook, because the textbooks are all written for Access. There isn't a textbook that I found that actually teaches you how to do it on a real system. In the textbook, they teach you how to point the mouse and Access to do something. It's not very useful for business. So you're going to use this environment throughout the semester. Now, after you get to the point where you've finished all the SQL exercises in the book and you're comfortable, or at least a reasonable amount, and you're feeling comfortable with how to do it, you can shut this down and just focus on your project, okay? Once you feel comfortable enough with the SQL and how to do it and how to set up databases and stuff, you may not need this environment anymore, okay? We're gonna set up a very basic, tiny one that shouldn't cost you very much. Now, here's the thing with Google. Let's just say you set it up and you start using it. Google will give you recommendations. It will tell you periodically, do you need a bigger system or could you get by with a smaller system? So it will give you recommendations. And James, I'm sure you noticed that in Google, like with mine, I built a big one to begin with, and it said, we recommend that you downgrade this to a smaller one. I don't think Amazon necessarily does that, but I'm not 100% certain. Okay. So we're gonna start off everybody here. It doesn't matter what you call it. For the sake of simplicity, it's probably easiest if we all just leave the default, okay? So the MariaDB1. Now the zone that you put it in, you're gonna wanna put it in a zone that's close to here, okay? So you're gonna actually wanna change that probably to one of the West Coast ones. And I really don't know which one's which. And I don't, so yeah, you don't wanna do that, okay? There's West 1, A, B, and C, and I don't know which one's closest, but they're all on the West Coast. Any of those should be fine, okay? Now the machine type, you're going to leave this at micro. Now later on, you might need to upgrade it to a larger machine, and that's okay. But for now, let's just go ahead and keep it at micro. That'll make it where it's a very low cost. Because see what happens if I change it? Because you have 50 bucks, and I can probably get you, I know I can get you another 50 bucks easily. If I need more than that, I have to go back to Google and tell them I need more. And they'll go look at everybody's use, and if 5% of the class is needs $500 credit and everybody else is using 20 meg or $20 of credit, then they're probably going to come back to me and say, what's going on? Why are only a couple people needing this? Are they using it for other purposes other than school? Okay. So, oops, what's going on here? That is not what I wanted to do. Okay, it's working on yours. Mine's not working. Okay. But there's different options. You just need the basic one here, the micro. Okay. Now the other thing is you just need a standard persistent disk for this purpose. Okay. Later on, when we talk about performance and things like that, we'll talk about some options there. For now, for the purposes of you just going and doing this in class, a persistent disk is fine, a standard one. Okay. The boot disk size seems to be fine to me. We're not going to do anything substantial in this class where we need a larger capacity. Okay. And then we can just leave the default networking on this, okay? This is gonna install a couple of things. Number one, it's gonna install Debian or Debian Linux, okay? Now there are two major flavors. There's the Debian family and the Red Hat family. How many of you know Red Hat? Anybody? Or Red Hat derivative, CentOS or something like that, Fedora, okay? Unfortunately, that's not my area of expertise, so I just generally don't do them. Plus, this image is built in Debian, okay? If you want to build your environment out in Red Hat, you can, because it is a popular OS, especially in San Diego, okay? It's also going to include MariaDB and a couple of other things that Bitnami includes as part of the image. Now, we can add additional software to it after we get it set up, okay? And we'll probably end up doing that. But for now, we're going to get it built with the basic MariaDB image on it, okay? Now, that is going to be $5.13 a month out of your credits. So we have 4 months of class. That's going to use probably about $22 if you keep it up the entire semester. When you get to the point where you feel you don't need it anymore and you're ready to do your project, you should probably terminate this instance, okay, which will lose all your data when you terminate it. Anything you're not going to keep anymore, you should terminate. You don't want to be the hoarder because it does eat up credits when it's alive, okay, when it's running. Now you can stop it and it will not eat credits for the server itself. If you're using external storage or any other special features, it might be eating up costs when you're just sitting there, okay? So you want to make sure that you only have it up and running. So when you're done in class and you're not going to use it, you could save some money by shutting it off. Like, not money, but credit, right? So when you're in class, you're going to have it running, you're going to use it. If you're not planning to use it right away after class, then before you leave, you could probably just push the little stop button. I'll show you that here in a minute. Once we get it up, you push the stop button, which will shut it down, okay? It'll still be there, and you can push the play button and it'll start back up again. You're only going to be billed for this instance when it's actually running, okay? So if you go off for spring break, you're going to want to shut it down, okay? Because it's just going to eat up credit, and it's silly to eat up your credit, okay? So we just go ahead and click deploy. So all of us should be able to click deploy.
says it. Do I have to check that box?
If yours does that, I must have already checked it a long time ago. So yeah, you have to accept the terms of service there. Yes. Oh, because are you logged into your school email? No, you can't do that. You gotta go. Oh, did you redeem it to your school email? So log into your personal email and then you'll have no problems. Yeah. It should work with your personal. At the end of the quarter, at the end of the semester, I would love to get your feedback on getting it in the school system because we don't have to deal with this anymore. Yes. Yes. It's eating up credits every minute that it's running. Yes. You could, I mean, you could get really advanced and go and set it up to start at certain times of the day and shut off automatically, but that'd be way outside the scope of this course. Yeah. But if you want to go out and Google how to do that, you can do that sort of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, there's a piece of software called Terraform that can be used to do things like that. Chef can do stuff like that. But you've got to go do on your own. And just ask James up there, how easy is it to use Chef and Terraform? It's pretty simple, right? We're being facetious, by the way. It's complex, okay? Actually, Terraform was pretty easy, but Chef was typical. Yeah, Chef was difficult. Yeah, we won't be doing Chef in the future. We're gonna just stick with Terraform. Yeah, focus that class. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now I have a machine. Now, very important. This screen, you need to capture it. Okay? Now, you all know my password, so at the end of class, I'm going to delete this instance and create a new one that you don't know my password for, okay? Okay. This is the admin user root. You're going to need to write that down. This password, I would just screenshot this and save it on your computer. If you're using the lab computer, save it to your home directory, okay? Because you're going to need this later, all right? Okay. And because I didn't do this for my other class, I'm actually going to do it this time. Oh, come on. What? All right. Let me get this over here and then I'll have it. Okay, so then the next thing, let's get everybody up here. Now, once it's fully deployed, you'll see this screen. It might take a little bit, okay? We're all hitting it. In theory, 40 people shouldn't affect Google's system, right? Okay, if it's designed properly, but I won't go there. I won't go there. Too soon. So let's go here, and the first thing we're going to do every time we connect, so we can click here and go SSH, but before we do that, okay, let's go back here to the 3 bars, because when we go in here, when we start up every time we go into Google Cloud Console here, we're going to be at the home screen, okay? This is what we're going to see when we first log into the console. Our Google Cloud MariaDB instance is right here under resources, okay? Everything you create will show up under resources, okay? So if you click the 3 bars at the top, you see the home screen, yeah. Okay. Then you just go back to console.cloud.google.com and take it right back, okay? Here we go. This is my instance. Now, I can SSH to it from when I'm logged into my console. Right now, this resource is not directly accessible from the internet, okay? Nor do we want it to be at this point, okay? When you get to your project, one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do is provide me access to your final server that you use for your project, because I want to go in and run some queries to make sure that you actually did it, and I can that's instead of a test, okay? I wish I could rely upon everybody being honest and not taking other people's screenshots, but that's the way I validate it, okay? I know you wouldn't, right? Nobody will do that in here, okay? But I go in there, I can run queries and make sure that you did it. Plus, if there's an issue, I can help you by logging into it, okay? It's gonna be more effective sometimes for me to go in and log into your system to troubleshoot than it is for me to watch over your shoulder while you're doing it, okay? I do better troubleshooting when I'm actually clicking around and typing things and figuring it out. And then once I figure out what's wrong, I will help you understand what's wrong. Okay, so I'm not just going to go fix it. I'm going to help you understand what's wrong so you can fix it if that's the case. Okay, but for this, what we're going to do is we're not going to connect to it remotely at this point. We'll do that later. For now, we're all going to connect using the SSH that's on here. Now, we did not do SSH clients in your class, right? We did it through the web, through their interface. Okay. I know that some of you may have used SSH clients before. How many have used an SSH client before on your computer? Secure Shell, where you remotely connect. Not really. Okay. So you may have. Okay. We're not going to use any SSH software in your machine. We're not going to use my terminal that I showed you last time for the purposes of the in-class. We're going to use theirs. See there, the SSH there? If we click the triangle next to it, we're always going to select open in browser window, okay? Now, these are other options, but for the purpose of this class, please, everybody just open in browser window. It's going to make it a lot easier for all of us, okay? We're not going to be worrying about, did your computer get configured correctly? Is the school's computer working properly? We don't have to worry about that. This is entirely through your web browser, which means we won't have any of those issues to worry about. In the real world, you are never going to do this, okay? You're going to have to learn how to set it up on your own machine. And when you get to your project, you're welcome to do that. But for the purposes of the in-class stuff, just so that we can all keep moving and learning and not worrying about computer configuration issues, let's all use the browser, okay? And you can always access it the way I did. I went home, I clicked on my resource, which is the server, and then it opens up here and I can go and say, open in browser window. Let me show you what that will look like. It's gonna look just like it did last week on my computer, okay? It just takes a second. Okay, so my Bitnami is set up now, okay? And it looks just like my one from last time. Let me see if I make that a little bigger. That's better. Make it a little wider too. All right. So now we have this Bitnami server with MariaDB, okay? You should pay attention, maybe copy this and write it down or something, okay? Here is all the information about your Bitnami MariaDB in case you need any reference materials, okay? It'll be in your console as well. Now, should be there every time you log in, by the way. Okay? Now, we're logged in, we can do the command line stuff. Now, for today, let's get everybody on there. So anybody not have theirs up to this point yet? Everybody's up to this point where you can see the SSH. Okay, so let's just do some basic command line. We actually have a database server, and on Wednesday, we're actually going to go in and start creating databases. If everybody tells me you're ready with the command line today, then we might get to it today. Okay? But for now, I'm just going to start showing you some basic commands you'll need to understand. Okay, and how many of you watch the videos on command line? Yeah, okay, if you watched them last semester, then you should be up here teaching. Okay. All right. So we're going to go through some of those basics, and I'm really going to focus on just some of the basic stuff that you would need for this database server. Okay. And the first thing that I'm going to tell you is what director. Oops. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I don't know what I just did there. Let's go here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm on a computer and I can see a couple of things. Number one is this is my VM name and this is my user name. Now, my username is actually tied to my Google account. So it's going to be outside of the scope of this course, but one of the things you are able to do is you can associate your Google login account with your system so that it knows who you are, and you don't have to have keys and credentials when you're working with your own machine. It's irrelevant for the purposes of this, but I wanted to show you that first part is your username, and then the second part is the name of the computer that you're on, okay? Now, right now I see you should be able to see that tilde to the left of the question mark, or the $sign, okay? That indicates I'm in my home directory. So if I do a pwd to print my working directory, I can see I'm in my home directory, okay? Everybody see your home directory? Two people tell me what your home directory is. Shout it out. Okay, there you go. Okay. All right, we've got, so everybody's is going to be based on your user account that you set up with Google, okay? Now, the other thing is the ls command. Ls command will tell us what's in our directory. And if I do that, nothing, right? But what if I do that other way I told you about, where we can see everything, okay? And now I can see hidden files. They're hiding from me. Now, don't think that a hidden file is security, because frankly, we just all saw how to see hidden files, right? So putting something in a dot file is not necessarily security, okay? But we can see a couple of files here. Number one is .ssh. That's a directory, okay? When we're working with a SSH client that's on our computer, we actually use that folder on our computer and on the server to hold keys, okay? So it's actually where we store keys. It's also where the computer, when we connect, the first time we connect, it says, you're connecting for the first time. Do you want to connect? Do you believe this is the system that you're connecting to? And you usually type yes if you want to. It saves that server name in a known host file. That's the purpose of that folder, really, okay? It's either or, it doesn't matter, but L just makes it print nicely. Yeah. The A shows everything, and the L makes it print in a list, a nice list, okay? Yeah, if I just did ls minus A, it doesn't show all the details, yeah. Okay. Now, there's a couple things. There's a dot profile. Now, this is beyond the scope of this class to customize it, but I can tell you that back when I was in the kind of hacker culture where I did this all the time, no, I was never a hacker. But when I was a nerd, okay, let's rephrase that. When I was a nerd, okay, I used to customize my profile to make the text look certain colors, because I sat all day in front of this screen. And if it looked like this all day, I probably would have gouged my eyes out, okay? It was hard on my eyes. Okay? So I would do like blacks and blues or whatever it might be, and I would customize. I would customize what my prompt looked like, because I didn't want to keep doing PWD. So I had it set up where it would tell me the full path of where I was at, or at least the last 5 directories or so, okay? So there's a lot of things you can do. You can actually go out and Google, how do I customize my dot profile in Linux, and you'll get millions probably of records of how to do it, okay? .bashrc is a similar file, okay? And then this is a file for things when you're logging out, okay? We aren't going to use any of those files for this course, okay? Now, that's my home directory. Now, in Linux and on the Mac as well, even on Windows, but Windows is a little different. There's a hierarchy of directories, okay? Oops. On Linux, it's called root, okay? And root on Linux is basically this. That stands for root, okay? Every other directory is underneath that, whether it's a external hard drive or a network drive, whatever it is, that's the root of your system. Yes. Oh, I just typed in cd space this. Yeah, cd space slash. Okay. And then you have to do an ls. Sorry, thank you for pointing that out. Ls, and then yeah, after that. You can actually do it this way too, and I'll show you right now how to do this. Where you do a semicolon, and it will chain 2 different commands together. And the semicolon is basically separate. Let me show you. Okay. There. So I can do it on one line too. Yes. Yeah, so let me show you. I'm going to write these on the board, by the way. We can't show the board on the screen, so make sure if you want this to take a picture of it, okay? I'm okay with you taking pictures of this. I just don't like to be on camera, so that's why I asked that you not put recordings if you're doing that, okay? So CD by itself, okay? Let's show you what CD does by itself. It just changes you back to your home directory. Okay, oops. Okay, so CD by itself is just going to take you to your home directory. Okay. Another way to do that is CD tilde with a space. Okay, that's going to do the exact same thing. What? Oh, I was just showing you that you can chain, this command here was just chaining these two together. You can use a semicolon to do that. Oh, that's just ls. Maybe I'm a little dyslexic today. I don't know, but it's basically the same thing. It doesn't matter the order. Yeah, sorry. Either way, I just wrote it wrong. Sorry. Yeah. We'll blame the migraine. All right. So then if you want to go back, you can use CD ... Okay. So if I want to go back, and I'm currently in my home directory, if I do CD space ... I am now in the home directory. Okay. Just the home/home. What's that? Anything. So ... goes back one level. Now you can also do ... slash ... slash. If you do that, it will go back that number of directories. So let's show you. Okay. You should also hopefully be doing this on your computer just so you can see it. Okay. If I do that, I was only up one level. Oops. Let me show you a couple things. Should I write on the board here? Probably not. Do it this way. So I was in my home directory. I went back one level, which takes me to the home folder. Okay. Then I went CD ... slash ... slash ... I went back 3 levels, but there aren't 3 levels. So you know where it took me? Back to root. Okay. If there aren't any, if I did this and there's only one level, it's only going to take me back one level. It's smart enough to know that. Okay. I can't go back further than root. There's no concept of a negative root. Okay. I can't go before root. Okay. I guess think of it like a book. You can't go back past the first page. Okay. When you get to the cover, you're back on the cover. Okay. You can't go any further back in the book from that. Okay. Kind of the same concept. Now, PWD lets us print working directory. Okay. It's very useful, but that's really all that does. Okay. CD's got the tilde and that for going to the home directory, going back, and then you've got CD and then whatever path you want to go to. So let's say I wanted to go to home, my home directory, I could do that. Okay. I could also do things like CD tilde slash, and then if I've got a directory like .ssh, I can go there directly. Tilde is really just an equivalent for my whatever my home directory is. So tilde is my home directory. Okay. I could also go home, Thomas, or whatever, right? But tilde is kind of a shortcut for me because nerds are lazy. Okay. All right. Now ls, there's al, but if you go and do, and I think some of you after class asked me about this. Anytime you don't know what a command does, you can always run this command. Okay. And I don't know why it's this way. It's not intended to be sexist or anything. Okay. It's called man. Probably because we have to always be, we won't ask for directions. I don't know. But man ls, okay. Man more, man vi, whatever, okay. This command is available on a system, and if it's actually a command, you should be able to get a man page for it. Now, a man page is not very helpful, okay, for a lot of people because it's complex. So I've got on the website, in the lab for command line, okay, that I told you all about. I have links to documentation. So where those videos were for the command line, I have a link to documentation that might be a little easier to read because it's in a web page format. Okay. Now, you can do that for any command. Okay? And let me show you what that looks like on the screen here. So let's just say I'm new and I don't know what ls is. Boom. I type man ls and it pops up this thing. Okay? Does anybody know how you get through this document? How would I scroll? No. Space bar. Hit the space bar, it moves to the next page. Hit the space bar, it moves to the next page. Okay. I honestly don't remember, but there's a help button there. I don't use man, okay? I just don't use it. That's what helps for there. So man has its own help, okay? Lots of different options for what you can do with LS, okay? And I don't even know that most people ever use a lot of these, okay? But you just can keep going. And when you're done, if you don't want to look at it anymore, you can just hit Q and it exits out, okay? Web page is easier, right? Okay. All right. So now, a couple more commands. What did I do with that marker? Oh, here it is, hiding. Okay. So we know the man command can be used to help us find things. So help us find information, okay? We use the space bar to page through. Now, there are some other critical commands that would be helpful to know. So number one here is more, okay? More allows us to, in a text file, look through the text file and see, just like the man page where we hit the space bar to go through the pages, okay? So if we go to like more, and I don't have a file, so let me create a file real quick, okay? Don't worry about how I create this file. I'll do it in my home directory. I'll talk about that a little bit later, okay? This is my text file, okay? This is a test. And then this is, just so we know, this is not a test, okay? All right, so I've got this file, and if I look at it, it's kind of big, okay? Oops. It always helps when you can spell, okay? There's a lot of things in that file. Now, how do I look at this file and actually go page by page? I can use the more command, okay? And it lets me view but not edit a file, okay? And if I want to see more, I just hit the space bar and it goes through the file. So when you're looking at log files, you would use something like more, okay? There's another command similar called less, okay? These two view files, okay? Particularly log files this can be useful for. So once you get to the point where you've got your own database server, say you have a problem, you could use this tool to go look at the files, okay, page by page. Okay. Now, let's do a couple other things. So there's another one called, I'm trying to think of which ones I want to do next. So more or less, we haven't talked about cat yet, okay? We did talk about it in the cloud class, I think. Did we talk about it in 304? The cat command. Yeah, it's in the video, okay. View files, like examples, log files. Okay. Cat is another command. Okay. Cat can be used to view a file. No, it is not, you know, looking for rodents on the computer or something like that, okay? We use cat to look at a file. So cat test.txt, okay, same thing. And it just opens up the file without any pagination. Okay. It stands for concatenate. Okay. Now, I once had a colleague, okay, when I was the IT person, who insisted, absolutely insisted, because they didn't like cats, they wanted a dog command, and there is no dog command, okay? So I used that dot profile to create an alias for dog, so whenever that person logged in, they could run dog and it would look at a file, okay? I've also had people who are familiar with Windows, and you can, that's another use of the dot profile, is you can create an alias for dir, for the Windows lovers, okay? You can type in dir and you can have it read out and do what ls does, okay? But there is no dir command on Linux. Yes, make dir, there is a make dir. So that's actually a good one. Thank you for bringing that up, Matt, okay? So make dir is MKDIR. Now you gotta remember when we first had these systems coming about, answer your question just a second, we had very short names for things, because every character was memory that was being used. So these are why these commands are small. It's CD, not change dir. Plus, you've got to type it out 50 million times a day. You don't want to be typing out change dir every time, okay? So that's where make dir, why it's so small. Yes. Yes, so I was going to go into VI next. So can you leave it open for a second, and you can be my guinea pig, okay? So VI is, by the way, VI is not the editor I recommend that you learn on to begin with. Okay, Nano's much easier. The video covers both. VI is designed for people who have a lot of experience. Okay, it's very powerful. You know, it has things like search and replace, like we have on Notepad, all with a couple of keystrokes. I can replace every single character in the document with effectively just a couple of characters, like maybe 4 characters, and then whatever I'm searching for and replacing. Okay. So I can change test in that whole file to something else with 4 characters, basically. It's very powerful for that reason, but it's also very hard to learn. There's books this thick on VI, and they're actually on Safari, so on the O'Reilly books. So if you are interested in that and you want to learn that, you can go out and learn that. Nano's much easier, though. I don't personally know Nano because I'm familiar with VI, but to answer Jonas's question, he's stuck in VI, okay? He's stuck in VI. Should we let him out? Okay. Oops, that's Cat. Okay, so I'm in here. Now, VI has this editor mode, which I'm in editor mode right now. I can make changes. It also has a command mode. Command mode is how I get out of it and actually do things. Now, to get into command mode, I first hit escape. Okay, I hit escape, and then I do the colon, and not the semicolon, and it shows a colon on my screen. To quit, I just type a Q after that and hit enter, and I'm out of it. Okay. So, but it's escape, colon, and then whatever command you're going to run in VI. Okay. Now, do you want me to change test to something else with the few characters that I said? What's that? So if I go in here and I say, I do a colon, I do %, S, test, this, and I do that, boom, all replaced. Okay. I can go back and do the exact same thing. A lot faster than a find and replace box on, Windows. Okay. And I can go back and fix it. Boom. I basically, let me show you that. Okay. I'm going to type it out, but I'm not going to hit enter. Okay. Let me explain what this means. Okay. This is a little advanced. I'm just showing because you asked the question, Jonah. So %, S, that's the symbol I use in here to search for something. Okay. The first slash is the first pattern I'm searching for. So test. Okay. The second slash indicates I'm done with what I'm finding now. This is what I'm going to replace it with. Okay. The second slash says I'm done writing the replacement, and then the G says replace it globally everywhere. Okay. Yes, because I want to get into command mode for the colon. Yes. Yes. So if I don't put the G, this is what happens. I already change it? No. I don't remember, actually. It's been so long. It changes it all. I don't remember the purpose of the G is. I think it's because if you have multiple files open, because you can actually do this across multiple files that are open, you can actually do it. I think that's what the G is for. I'm just so used to typing it because this is how we used to do stuff with the FAA. Okay. You get habits as you get older and you forget why you started doing the habits. Okay. All right. Yes. You're stuck. Hit escape, hit colon, hit Q, and leave VI. We don't need to worry about it. Okay.
Like right here on the G. I was trying to do what you were doing up there. I hit the symbol too.
Hit the escape. Oh, that's a semicolon. That's why. Colon is the 2 dots. Colon is the 2 dots.
Shit, brother, you're my what?
Okay, now type a Q.
Q.
An exclamation point, and it'll discard your changes. So if you want to discard your changes in VI without doing them, you do colon, Q, exclamation, overrides any warnings about saving, and it'll just quit without warnings. If you do colon Q and you did a change like this and you didn't save it yet, it's going to say, hey, you didn't save your change. A little protection. If you don't care, you're just going to do an override with an exclamation in the end, okay? I don't want to spend a lot of time on VI because, frankly, Nano's a lot easier for you all to learn, okay? Let me show you what Nano looks like. See, I just gave me that warning. I just did an exclamation. I'm out of there. Nano will do the same edit on that file, okay? But look, it's got a menu at the bottom, okay? So it's a little easier for me to understand how to use because I'm familiar with menus. Now, these are text menus, okay? That caret symbol, I believe, is the control. Yeah, okay. The control key is how you generate that little caret symbol on the left there, the little triangle. Okay. Looks like when I'm angry, my eyebrows go like that. Okay. That's the control key. So all those menus, you can use Control X to exit, Control G to get help, Control W to find something, Control that slash to replace something, okay? Q exclamation point. All right? Okay. So all of you are probably wanting to learn Nano. Watch the video on how to edit with Nano. It's going to help you out a lot. You do not want to, in this class, you do not want to try to use a Windows or Mac text editor to do things. And that was a struggle, I know, for the cloud class. A lot of people tried to use the Google editor and the Google console. It's buggy as heck. Okay? And did it work all the time? I don't know if you were one of the ones who tried or you just tried to use something else for it because of that, right? So when you're doing things, maybe you need to modify it. You don't need to do anything with this particular VM with it. Okay? This is more to show you how to do the basics. But when you get your own server that you're going to build out for your project, you're going to want to know how to edit a text file. Because what if you need to change a port? What if you need to go into Apache or something and change a configuration? Okay, for the advanced topics piece of the lab. Okay, so you're going to want, for the project, I mean, the advanced topics of the project, you're going to want to know how to use a basic. Okay, because we're not using a local SSH client. Okay, so we all have to do it through the web browser. So make sure you practice that. Okay. Yes. You're stuck. Okay. Okay, so hopefully it's doing its thing now. Okay, so renaming files, copying files, removing files. You probably will need to do some copying of files, okay? You may need to rename files later on in the course. You may need to remove files if you screw something up, okay? Just be careful, okay? Never do rm-rf star, okay? That's bad, okay? Well, that would be even worse, okay? The first one I said will delete all the files in your directory or whatever that you have access to, but the other one's going to delete everything, okay? But if you want to do that, and then tell us about it, I think that everybody would like to laugh, right? Okay. Okay. I have seen on Windows something like this happen where IT put a script, a Windows script. Does anybody know PowerShell? I don't know it, but does anybody know how to do PowerShell or anything? Okay. You put a batch script on Windows and somehow IT put a file to delete it was an innocuous file to delete some files that they had on a computer. And for whatever reason, it was there and the user went to click on a shortcut in their desktop and they deleted the application and Windows popped up and said, we can't find that file. We think this might be it. And they pointed to the script and this person just looked at it and said, oh, okay, this sounds good. Clicked OK. So then every time they would double click on the Word icon or whatever, all their files would be deleted. And they would call IT and IT said, well, I don't know what's going on. You stop deleting your files. We have no idea. And finally they called the person in and said, okay, show me exactly what you're doing. They're like, all I'm doing is opening my Word. And every time I open my Word, my files are gone. And the person went and sure enough, it happened. They went to look at it and they're looking at Word and it's got the Word icon. And they can't figure it out. Finally, they went to the shortcut and actually saw where it pointed to. And it pointed to some batch file on their computer that was just deleting files. Okay. Same sort of thing can happen on Linux though. Okay. Not as sick as the prank of taking a screenshot of someone's icons and then making it their desktop pattern. And then they try to click on it and they can't. I'm guilty. Or changing people's passwords when they leave their computer unlocked. Again, a security issue. So then you change their password and you put a thing up on there that says you should have changed your password, that sort of thing. All right. So getting back to this, these are some other commands that you might use, okay? Now, let's go ahead and we know that we've got MySQL running on here. So let's go ahead and go into the client, okay? So MySQL minus U root. MySQL minus U root minus P. Okay. What's going to happen here? This is what throws everybody off. So when you want to log into your MySQL server, you're going to do MySQL space minus U space the username. Right now, the only username we have is the root one that was created when we set it up. Okay. This is different than the root for the server. This is the root for the database. As part of our work over the next couple of weeks, we'll get to the point where we'll create separate user accounts. Generally speaking, you want to guard that root account with your life, okay? You don't want people using it. You want to create an account for you and you and you to all go in and log in and do things based on your privilege level, okay? That's part of separation of duties that we talk about in the security course. Now it's going to ask me for my password. My password is what I had earlier, okay? And so I'm going to type that in. Now this is where everybody gets hung up. Let me type it so I don't screw it up. It doesn't type anything for security reasons. It's actually typing, but you don't see it on your screen, okay? If I hit enter now, I'm in, okay? If you're expecting it to do something, you're never going to see anything. It's for security. Because everything I type that's echoed back to my terminal is captured in my history. That's why I did the -P and I did not specify my password in the command line. If I had done that, it would be in the history for everybody who could log in as me to see. The password from when you set it up, yeah, that you should have screenshotted. And actually, I didn't save mine to the screenshot. I better do that before my computer crashes or something, okay? So now this is the MySQL client, okay? And on MariaDB, it just says MariaDB, okay? But it's basically a MySQL client. You hacked in? Was the password Big Fish? Oh, okay. That's your password? All right. So everybody should be able to get to this point. This before was the Linux command. That's kind of how we get started, okay? We have now actually executed a program just like we would launch Word on our computer, okay? On Linux, we do that by just the command. So in this case, MySQL is the command. Okay. It needs to know what user we are, so we did the -u, and then -p tells it, prompt me for the password. I don't want to put it on the command line because then everybody will be able to see it. Okay. Which reminds me, one other thing I think I touched on last time, a few little tips here. Okay. Number one is tab. The tab key can autocomplete commands as you start typing them. Okay. I'll show you it when we get done if we have time. Okay. I think we've got 20 minutes left until class. So let's just say I start typing ls, and if I hit tab in my home directory, it's going to start showing me files in that home directory. Okay. Yeah. And then the arrows, so up and down, okay. This allows me to basically scroll through past commands that I've run, okay, through commands. And then the last one is the history file. Okay, if I just type history basically tells me all my previous commands that it saved. Okay. Those are very useful tips for you, so you don't have to retype the same thing. So the next time you go in here, you don't have to remember this command. You just go into history, and when you do history, you can do this exclamation point. I'm going to just make a note. This is an exclamation point, okay? And then the number. You'll have to come up here to see it, okay? So like exclamation point 199 will run whatever command was 199. Oh, where are you at? Oh yeah, it won't work in there. I'm talking about the command line. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I'm not quite there yet. So this is actually on the Linux command line, so you can get back to this command. Now we're in MariaDB. You should be able to get back that just by hitting the enter key. Yeah, you should be good. Okay. /C.
Yeah, because I was here, but then I'm here.
Oh yeah. Sorry. That's dangerous, by the way. All right, so now we're on the database server. Okay. And so one of the things I want to pull up here then is here's our website. If you go to our website and where's it at? Not quite yet. I'm going to pull up. So if you go to later, you don't have to do this right now. I just want to pull it up so I have it for reference purposes. Lab 2 has some simple commands for creating a database. So you don't have to try to write down what I have here, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a database, okay? But I want to be able to show you some of the commands of how we kind of get started on this, okay? It's going to be good for you to do this part, but what I'm saying is you don't need to actually open up the Word document that I'm opening on my other computer here. You can't see it, okay? All right, so we've got a database server. We're logged into it now, okay? It's not. Some things are case sensitive, some things are not, okay? In this case, this is not. So show databases, or I can do this. Either way, it's going to show me the same thing, okay? Right now, there are no special databases. These are just internal databases to MySQL, okay? Okay, we finally get to the point in this class where we're starting to see some SQL stuff, okay? We're going to actually start talking about databases, okay? So if you thought you were in the wrong class, I wasn't wrong, okay? This is actually a database class, okay? In here, we have 3 databases, but they're not anything that we can do anything with. So what we're going to go ahead and do is create a new database, okay? So create, and then database, and then we're going to use, and this is going to throw everybody off. So before you hit enter, wait, and I'll tell you what these are, okay? Because this always throws people off. We'll call this one my test, okay? These are not quotes. They're not single quotes. They are the backtick symbol, okay? They're different, okay? So the backtick symbol is on your keyboard on my Mac and on the PC both above the tab key on the left side where the tilde is, okay? This is on the tilde key. Okay, this is a backtick. And it's on the tilde key, okay? The squiggly line. Okay. We also use single quotes, but they're not for this purpose, okay? I'll tell you what we use single quotes for in a minute. Okay. Okay. And then we always have to end with the semicolon with SQL, okay? SQL doesn't know that we're done until we hit the semicolon. If I don't do that, watch what happens. It gives me another prompt. If you get that other prompt, that's because you need to type in a semicolon. If I type in a semicolon in now, boom, okay? I now have a database called my test. So if I go back and I do, and you can do the same thing, by the way, with the arrows here, okay? Boom. I now have a database. I've created a database. How many of you have finished this step where you've created a database? Okay. All right. You've all created your first database. It has no data. It has no tables right now. Okay. That's the next thing that we're going to do. I'm going to skip over, by the way, the creating users right now. We're going to do that in a few weeks when we get to that point. I think it's a little too complicated for right now. Okay. So we're going to skip all over that. We're going to go ahead and create a table. Okay. And so, but before we can do that, we actually have to tell MySQL which one we want to use, okay? Because right now, if I say create table, it doesn't know what database I want to use. So if I say create table, and I said dog, okay? It doesn't know what database. I have to tell it what database. How do I tell it what database? I say use database, and it's, which one do I want to use here? I think I want to use my test, right? That's what I called it? Yeah, okay. So use database, my test, oops. Oh, sorry, my bad. My test. That's all I need to do. Use my test, okay? Yes, use my test. Yeah, you have to create it first. Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about create table. No, the create database. No, that's just going to give me an error. That was me to show you that you needed an error. Yeah, so now I'm in database, okay? That was me showing you how to create an error, yeah. So you can create an error if you want. Now that I'm using my test, I've changed to this database. Now it knows I want to use the database, okay? So I can say show tables, and there are no tables, okay? Show tables tells me what tables are in the database, okay? We don't have any tables yet. We haven't defined them. Okay. When we want to create a table, we use create table, okay? And we're going to just do a simple one here. So create table, and we'll say, I really want to teach you proper syntax, by the way, to do it. So it's better to do this, okay? I know it's better to do this because it's going to make it easier when you do your SQL. Yeah, I'm just showing you it's not, some things it's not necessary. I would rather you just start using all caps for this because it's going to make it easier, okay? For the command names, okay? So create table. Maybe I shouldn't have shown you that, but I wanted you to know that it's possible. It's not good practice, okay? So create table, and let's just say we're going to create a table called dog, okay? That's the name of our table. Now we have to define what our table looks like. So we use a parenthesis to define the columns of the table, okay? No, there's no space there. Yeah, so it's table name, parenthesis, and then we're going to start doing things. Okay. Before I go on, okay, how many of you know what a column is? Okay. Column in the database. Yeah, let me go through a couple of, I'm going to show you this real quick, and then I'll explain what they are. Okay, so it's part of the concepts part that if you watch those lectures and you go through those slides, you should understand what that is. Okay, I don't know if every MIS introductory class teaches that, and some of you are kind of in the same time as, we're getting to that unit in a couple weeks, so you may not know right now. So I'm going to show you what this looks like, and then I'll explain what everything is about it. Okay, so let's just call the first thing here. Our first column is going to be called dog ID. Okay. It's an integer data type. I'll explain what this stuff is in a second, okay? I'll explain what all this stuff means. Give me just a second. Dog name is, let's see here, this, I guess. Okay. And that's probably good for now. Okay, just a simple table. Okay, let me explain what this does. Okay. This is going to create a table called dog. Okay, not very creative. It's going to have two columns in it. The first column is called dog ID. It's an integer data type. Can anybody tell me what an integer is? It's a number, right? Whole number, okay? Now, primary key indicates that this is the primary unique identifier for this table, okay? Every table has one. Now, The second one here is the second column, dog name. This is a variable character. That's what it stands for, okay? And then 40 is basically bytes. Yeah, 40 characters, yeah. And then a parenthesis closing it and a semicolon, okay? Now, let me take a step back once I show you what this table looks like, okay? And explain what these things are, okay? Because they're, so if I do show tables, okay? And then I can see what a table itself looks like. Again, we don't have any data yet. We haven't created any data. This is just the design and looking at the database setup. Oops. What did I do? Describe, my bad, dog. Okay. This will allow me to explain it. A field and a column. Okay. So this is one table. Okay. Yeah, you always check for the semicolon. If you have an error, that's probably what it is. Let me explain the basics of this database, okay? A database is a collection of multiple themes of data, okay? A spreadsheet is used for one theme of data. And some people try to make a spreadsheet hold multiple themes, and it works when you're the only person using the spreadsheet, okay? When you start having your finance department and your HR department and multiple people accessing a spreadsheet quickly breaks down. Has anybody ever had to use a spreadsheet with millions of records, 200 sheets in it, and pivot tables? Okay. I had to deal with that with the finance guy. It took him 2 hours for the spreadsheet to open on his computer, okay? And then it crashed, okay? And then he said, we probably need to come up with a better idea for this, okay? Single theme, we use an Excel spreadsheet. And a single theme would be, say, students. Okay, that's a good, easy example, or dogs. Okay. When we start talking about multiple themes, let's say students and your grades, students and professors, students and classes, a spreadsheet's unwieldy. It's not really effective to use anymore. Okay. I can keep track of simple data like your grades in a spreadsheet. I can't keep track of every communication you ever have with me in it. Okay. Honestly, I don't have the time to do that sort of thing, but the general book examples align around those things because there's something tangible you can all think about because you're all students, right? Looking at it from a real perspective, if I were a grocery store, I would have different tables for my different departments. I would have tables for my different customers, okay? I would have tables for my employees. I'd have a lot of different tables, basically, okay? In this example, I have one table called dog. And I'll probably go create another one for cat and fish and reptile or whatever it might be later on, okay? And then I might have a person, and that person is affiliated with multiple tables, okay? This is a relational database, okay? I'm going to talk about relational database design next week, okay? So I'm kind of jumping a little bit ahead of it, but I want to explain what I'm doing here, okay? So in this table, I have a simple set of data types, okay? It's one table. It has a column, or sometimes called a field, okay? And this is a little misleading right now because columns are actually on top. I don't think you guys want me to delete this yet. So let me take a picture. Yeah, if you turn that table upside, basically on its side, dog ID is a column, dog name is a column, also known as a field. I want to take a picture of this so we don't lose this information, okay? And then I can type it up for you. Okay. I'm not going to get to typing it up, though, to be very frank, until probably Friday. Oh, shit. It didn't break. Because I just gave my daughter my spare phone, so that would have really sucked. Okay. All right. We won't do that again. Okay. So dog ID is a column. Dog name is a column. Now let's move over here. Tables have relationships, metadata, and then the actual data that goes in them, okay? And then the columns and things like that. Okay. So this table has two columns. There are no other relationships at this point with other tables, okay? We represent those using foreign keys. In the interest of keeping it simple for tonight's class, I did not put any foreign keys in here. But foreign keys are basically a pointer to another table's primary key, okay? So think of it just like an icon on your dock or your Windows menu. It's not actually where the application is installed. It's installed somewhere else. It's just a pointer, okay? Think of that as the foreign key to a primary key, which is the application in the applications folder or the programs folder, okay? Now, every data field, every column has a data type. And that's part of a good design of a database is we decide what it's going to be up front. Because it's very difficult to change a relational database later on. It's possible, but it's a huge headache. You've got to go get your developers to change the application. It could mean downtime. Excuse me. And it's just a pain. So we try to design the database up front the best we can. Okay. So that's one of the things you're going to do as a group. I thought that was easier to do as a group than to do it individually. Okay. That way you can bounce ideas off each other for your database design. And then when you go implement it, you can just implement whatever the design is. Okay. Now, there are different data types. And in the interest of simplicity, I'm going to cover two of them right now, but there are other ones. There's currency, which is basically decimal. Okay. It's called decimal, actually. You go in and look at the different data types. There's variable characters. There's blobs. Blobs are how we store big images and things like that, things that are too big, weird data types, that sort of thing. Integers are whole numbers. Varchars are basically strings. Okay. And other database types are called strings. Okay. There's some other metadata here. Okay, that's the first type of metadata. The second one here is, can this field be null when you create a record in the database? So if I try to create a dog named Ginger right now, okay, and I did not give it a dog ID, it would not allow me to create the record because this field says it cannot be null. Okay, but I don't have to give dog ID 123 an actual name. Okay, maybe we haven't named our dog yet. This one indicates it's the primary key. If it was a foreign key, it would say MUL here, okay? But if it's a primary key, it'll say pri. So this is the primary key. The primary key is a unique identifier. And in the past, what we used was, we used this thing called auto increment of the database, where the database would keep track of what a unique identifier was and manage it. But the problem is, oops, sorry. Someone trying to get in here? Oh, that happened to me earlier today, like 5 times. So we're going to go in just a second. Okay. But then we have the default value. Okay. And the default value is null. If we didn't give it a value, it's just going to be null. Okay. And then if we have like auto increment on here, it's here. Now, auto increment's not used much anymore. And the reason is auto increment does not handle if you've got, say, a large number of servers from multiple places hitting the database. Okay. When we talk about sharding and things like that, auto increment doesn't work anymore so well. Okay. So we tend to handle the unique identifiers in the application layer, not in the database layer anymore. But it's still a feature in there. You can turn on auto increment if you want. Yes. Yeah. So, well, we'll get to that in the next class because we're out of time. But yeah, so you basically have to do insert into dog, and then you do it. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So you have to do that. Yeah. You can run a script, SQL script, and that will be something later we'll do where you can actually create a SQL script, make sure it's correct using VI or Nano, which is why you need to learn one of those, okay? And then you save it to your file system, and then you point MySQL at the SQL file, and it's got all the commands already typed, so you don't have to go back and fix it if you made an error, right? Yeah, so what you're going to want to do is, let's go ahead and exit. So we're going to do quit here, okay? Then we're going to type exit. So quit, exit. Now it's gone. Just quit, and then that'll get out of MySQL, and then exit to get out of the shell. And then we go here to our database. We click on the little checkbox, and we say stop. Okay. And then it warns us. Okay.
You mean that with the 3 dots, you click on the 3 dots and you click stop?
You click on the little checkbox here to checkbox it, and then stop. Yeah.
So there's 2 ways you can stop.
Yeah, you can also do it over here, but I was trying to make it easier. Yeah. Because if you had multiple things, you click the checkbox. Yes. Yeah, so you would typically do that sort of thing. If you don't specify it this way, you typically handle that in an application. Because most of the time these days, you go into a web application that actually touches the database and does the data entry because it creates forms for you, right? We're doing it manually. Actually, to be realistic in the real world, you'd probably have a web-based form where you fill out the fields, hit submit, and then it connects to the database and executes it. It takes a minute. Is it spinning like that? When it's done, it'll show gray like that. That little gray circle with the square in it. What's that?
Close out the internet.
Oh yeah.
That's what I did.
Okay, well, just check it in a little bit. If it's not, just click the stop button again. Yes.
For the book, my computer is really